story begins with a guy named Mike, a legendary master thief whose career came to a grinding halt when a job went sideways and landed him in prison. 15 years later, he walks out a free man. On that very first day, Mike wanders into a bar by himself. The years behind bars haven't dulled his magnetism one bit. A single look is enough to hook the bar's owner completely. The two end up tangled together in a storage room after a round of eating and drinking on his tab. Mike then casually steals a nearby parked car and drives away without a second thought. He heads straight into the city center to a hair salon. The stylist's whole demeanor shifts the second Mike walks through the door. He already knows why Mike's there, but there's nothing he can do about it. "Give me the address," Mike tells him. "That's the job." 15 years back, Mike and his girlfriend Carrie had been a thieving team. During a heist that went sideways, Mike deliberately got himself caught so Carrie could get away clean. Now he's trying to find her. Job, Mike's longtime friend and a gifted hacker, pulls up her address in seconds. Armed with that information, Mike gets moving. Then out of nowhere, an assassin starts shooting at him. Mike evades the gunfire, yanks the attacker's motorcycle away from him, and tears off down the road. After a long ride, he rolls into the small town of Banshee. He stops at a bar to sit down with a cocktail and decompress. The bar belongs to Sugar, a retired boxing champion who now keeps a low profile. Hard times forced him to part with his gold medal somewhere along the way. Sugar himself did 8 years, so he clocks Mike as an ex-con the moment he walks in. The two get along immediately, and Sugar becomes Mike's first real connection since getting out. Then a stranger comes through the door, Lucas Hood, a newly assigned cop who's due to start work next week. Almost immediately, two thugs barge in demanding cash. They're local enforcers running their usual shakedown on the bar. What they don't realize is that the new cop they've never met is sitting right there eating when one of them shoves a gun against his head. Everything escalates. Mike steps in to try to keep anyone from getting killed, but the thugs aren't backing down. In a matter of moments, Mike takes them both out. Tragically, Hood catches a bullet in the process and dies before he ever gets the chance to start his new job. The scene is a disaster. 3 bodies, 2 enforcers, and a cop. Sugar tells Mike to disappear and promises to clean it up. Mike tracks down Carrie's house only to find she's built an entirely different life for herself. A husband and 2 kids, a boy and a girl. She tells him they both used to work for a crime lord named Rabbit. During a heist, the 2 of them stole diamonds worth a fortune. Mike took the fall so Carrie could run. Now Rabbit's people are hunting him down. Mike wants his share, but Carrie tells him Rabbit's crew already reclaimed the diamonds. Devastated, Mike understands he's lost the money and the woman at the same time. With no real plan, he goes back to Sugar. Together, they decide to get rid of the bodies out in the woods. While they're dealing with the evidence, Hood's phone starts ringing. Mike picks it up. It's the mayor, calling to invite Hood to a meeting the following day. That's when a bold idea takes shape. Mike will become Lucas Hood, step into his life, and start over in Banshee. He calls Job, who hacks into the system, and swaps out Hood's records. Just like that, Mike is now Lucas Hood, the town's new sheriff, and he's sleeping at Sugar's place. The next day, Mike meets with the mayor, who is young and never crossed paths with the real Hood, so the deception holds up easily. The mayor wants Mike's help dismantling Proctor, a local crime boss running illegal operations behind the cover of a slaughterhouse. Proctor has cops and politicians in his corner. The deputy sheriff takes the new Lucas on a tour of town. They come across the Moody brothers harassing and taunting some Amish men. Lucas steps in quickly and shuts the harassment down, which leads to a full-on brawl between him and the group. When Cole tries to clock Lucas with a piece of wood, Kai Proctor, the man who owns both Banshee's legal businesses and its criminal ones, steps in and stops it from going further. Kai introduces himself to Lucas, then tells the Moody boys to help the Amish man reload the wood they've been throwing around. Once the crowd clears, Kai walks over to the Amish man and addresses him as father, apologizing for the whole ugly scene. It comes out that Kai has a complicated history with his former Amish family. They banished him, and some of them have gone as far as pretending he doesn't exist. Furious over Cole disrespecting his father, Kai summons him to the slaughterhouse and reveals the connection between them. Cole had no idea the old man was Kai's father. Kai knocks him down and then delivers a relentless series of punches to Cole's face until teeth come out. The next day, Lucas's team helps him get ready for his oath ceremony. Meanwhile, Job gets a surprise visit from a man named Al, who wants to know where Lucas is. The conversation turns into a standoff with Al holding Job at gunpoint. Job resists at first, but eventually breaks under pressure, agreeing to cooperate, claiming he needs to pull a file from a cupboard. He steps into another room where he finds a hidden passage and slips out. The moment he's clear of the building, he rotates a pendant, and the whole place detonates in seconds. Elsewhere, Kai Proctor is hosting a party for Banshee's power players, including Carrie's husband, Gordon Hopewell, who happens to be the district attorney. Carrie nearly falls apart when she spots Lucas at the event. The two manage to step away from the crowd, and Lucas presses her to open the safe he stole, but she refuses. She threatens to expose him. Lucas reminds her of the secret she's been keeping from her husband, and that shuts the threat down. As she walks away, Cole ambushes Lucas, in payback for the humiliation Kai put him through. Cole shows up at the gathering and levels his gun at Kai, ready to pull the trigger. But before he can, Lucas shoots him from behind, and that's the end of Cole. Later, it's confirmed that Job survived the explosion, and Rabbit is already back to ordering him to bring Lucas in. The next day, while Carrie is doing an open house showing as a realtor, Lucas finds a way to get to her. He pulls her into a separate room, and the two share a quiet moment together, until another realtor interrupts. Even with those feelings clearly still alive, Carrie tells him to leave her alone and never come back to Banshee. Right then, Carrie gets a call from Deva's school principal letting her know Deva has skipped class again. She's been doing it constantly, and Carrie has no idea where her daughter keeps disappearing to. We follow Deva and her boyfriend Reed, joined by her best friend, riding out to a house deep in the woods where drugs are being manufactured. The operations overseer, Hansen Beatrice, who works for Kai, gets uncomfortably close to Deva, though he's forced to step back when Reed shows up. Hansen hands Reed a package of drugs and extends an invitation to a party at an Amish farmhouse. Later, Lucas gets an office visit from Kai, who tries the same move he's made on every previous sheriff, a bribe meant to buy loyalty. Despite his own shady background, Lucas turns it down flat, and Kai leaves dissatisfied. That night at Sugar's bar, Sugar pulls Lucas aside and warns him that the Moody brothers are likely planning retaliation for Cole's death. Lucas steps outside with a sandwich and is promptly met by Cole's widow, Kate, who slaps him hard across the face and holds him responsible for her husband. Before long, the Moody brothers have closed in around Lucas, ready to make something happen. Kate unexpectedly cuts them off, declaring flat out that Cole got exactly what was coming to him. The brothers are still burning, though, and they keep pushing. Lucas holds his ground and faces them directly. Sugar breaks it up before it goes any further, getting the drop on one of the brothers at gunpoint until all of them hand over their weapons. As the Moodies walk away, they make it very clear this isn't finished. They'll be back. Once everything settles, Lucas meets a woman named Rebecca, and the two spend the night together. The following night, an Amish elder seeks Lucas out and tells him about the rave party he heard of through his son. Before leaving, the elder asks Lucas to keep their conversation between them. Then he introduces Lucas to his daughter, Sorcerons, who turns out to be Rebecca. The police gear up for a raid. While they're preparing, Deva and her friend arrive at the party expecting to have a great time as VIPs with Reed behind the DJ booth. When the cops reach the location, Lucas goes in direct. He disables the guards and enters alone. Inside, he spots Hansen. Before he can do anything, the partygoers start dropping into seizures, Reed included. Lucas calls in backup, and while his colleagues manage the crowd, he focuses on Deva, who is beside herself over her boyfriend's condition. With things stabilized, Lucas turns his attention to Hansen and gives chase. Reed doesn't make it. Lucas drives Deva home to help her through it. On Kai's end, he contacts Hansen and rips into him for the botched drug manufacturing that killed the senator's son. As punishment, Kai cuts off one of Hansen's fingers. Then he gives him 60 seconds to run before releasing a dog on him. Hansen tries to get clear, but the dog catches him, and that's the end of Hansen. Later that night, a badly injured woman crawls out of the van belonging to celebrated boxer Damon Sanchez, who was brought in for an exhibition fight tied to a deal between Kai and Kinho tribe leader Benjamin Longshadow over the construction of a new casino. The woman is rushed to the hospital and tells her story. Things started out consensual, but Damon turned violent, kicking and punching her repeatedly until she managed to drag herself out of the van. Lucas hears her out and heads to the exhibition fight to place Damon under arrest. He and Deputy Siobhan get cut off by Kai, who has money riding on the fight and suggests waiting until it's over to make the collar. Damon's manager Douglas also tries to block Lucas, but nothing slows him down. He walks straight to the ring, orders Damon to submit, and when Damon won't comply, the two go at it. Lucas connects with a hard punch that opens Damon up, but the boxer comes right back, landing punches, applying chokeholds, and throwing Lucas clean out of the ring. Lucas grabs a champagne bottle and tries to use it as an equalizer, but Damon is relentless. Both men are bleeding heavily. When Damon launches another attack, Lucas grabs his hand and pulls the fingers apart until the skin splits. The fight ends when Lucas breaks Damon's arm and leaves him unconscious. Sugar brings the battered Lucas back to the bar where Kai shows up shortly after, trying once again to negotiate something. Lucas makes his position completely clear. He understands exactly who Kai is, has no desire to be involved with him, and isn't intimidated by him in the slightest. Kai tells him that's a mistake. Meanwhile, Kai's enforcer Clay Burton tracks down Douglas and demands the money Kai paid Damon. When Douglas pushes back and refuses to hand it over, Clay plays it calm at first, then follows him into the van and makes his point more physically, walking out with the money bag. That night, Rabbit is in his room when Carrie appears with a gun pointed at him. She forces him to handcuff himself to the bedpost, then throws a bag onto the table. All the diamonds, $10 million worth, the same ones she and Lucas stole. She tells him that in exchange for giving everything back, she wants him to leave her alone, but Rabbit has never had anyone steal from him and get away clean. His anger at Lucas hasn't cooled, and he insists on getting him too. Carrie asks if handing over Lucas would be enough for him to let her go free. He gives his word. She responds by producing an injection and sedating him so he can't call for help, gathers the diamonds, kisses Rabbit, and leaves. It's revealed that Rabbit is actually her own father. She goes directly to Lucas and hands him all the diamonds, but her condition is that he leaves Banshee. Lucas knocks her down and makes it clear he's not going anywhere under any terms. He tells her to take the diamonds and go home. The next morning, Lucas arrives at the police station to find Senator Robert Schumacher waiting in his office. The senator isn't there for condolences. He wants accountability for his son's death. Lucas pulls Dava in and shows her a lineup of the town's known criminals, asking her to identify anyone connected to Hansen, who has reportedly gone missing. Dava points out Arno Weber, and Lucas and a deputy go to the rundown apartment building where Arno lives. When someone tries to block their path, Lucas slams his head into the wall to make clear there won't be any obstruction. They find Arno, who produces a severed hand. He explains that he worked at Kai's slaughterhouse and watched Kai and Clay feed Hansen's remains to a dog. After they cleared out, he recovered the hand and identified it from a tattoo he himself had carved on it. As proof, Arno shows them a video of Kai and Clay dragging Hansen's body. That footage goes to District Attorney Gordon, who praises Lucas for the work, but firmly tells him not to involve Dava in investigations without parental consent again. Lucas then goes to Kai's home to arrest him for Hansen's murder. Clay moves to intervene, but Kai waves him off and agrees to come quietly. En route to the station, a truck plows into their vehicle and sends it off a bridge. The Moody brothers, collecting on their promise to settle things with Lucas over Cole. They tie Kai's hands to a tree branch. Marcus, one of the brothers, wants to hurt Kai specifically because of what Kai did to Cole's teeth. Dex Moody pushes back, arguing that going after Kai means starting a war they can't win. While Marcus goes after Lucas, Lucas drives Marcus's head into Dex's and slices off Marcus's ear. He then squares up with Dex, who has a pistol on him. Lucas runs a psychological play. Take your brothers home and this whole incident disappears, or everyone here winds up dead or arrested for assaulting an on-duty officer. Deputy Emmett arrives and covers Dex at gunpoint. Faced with that, Dex agrees to the terms and the brothers leave. Lucas then successfully delivers Kai to the station and puts him in a cell. Later that night, Sugar tells Lucas he wants in on whatever's next. He's done making ends meet by pouring drinks and breaking up bar fights, and he's ready to contribute something more. Lucas sees the value in that and agrees to bring him along. On his way home, Lucas runs into Kate Moody. They share a cigarette. She warns him that the Moodys will never truly stop coming after him, then admits she has no real explanation for why she came. The two end up spending the night together. In court, Kai pleads not guilty. Given his track record of walking away from charges, the judge agrees to bail. Once he's free, Kai tasks Clay with finding out who the prosecution's witness is. Outside the station, Lucas gets another visitor. Job has come to Banshee to work with him on their next move. That night, Deputy Brock is keeping watch over Arno, the eyewitness, at a motel. A knock at the front door puts him on alert. Then the wall behind him explodes. As he loses consciousness, Brock sees Arno being carried off. As the Spirit Festival gets underway, a biker gang called the Kindred rolls into Banshee and immediately starts causing trouble. They go after Carrie, but growing up as the daughter of a crime lord made her more than capable in a fight. She holds her own for a while, but the numbers aren't in her favor. Sugar steps in before anything serious happens and orders the bikers to back down. He takes two of them out, but a third hits him from behind and puts him on the ground. As the beaten bikers stumble out of the alley, Siobhan spots them and follows up to investigate. She finds one of them, Tally, standing over Carrie and draws her weapon. Carrie uses the moment to grab Tally's gun and strip out the magazine. When Tally still won't stand down, Siobhan shoots him. One of the other bikers sees it happen, and Siobhan is immediately marked. Police and paramedics arrive shortly after. Siobhan is visibly shaken. It's the first time she's ever taken a life. Her colleagues try to steady her while Carrie turns to Gordon for comfort. Lucas asks Brock whether there are any leads on the gang. Brock says they move around so much that by the time anyone tracks them, they'll already be gone. Inside the gang, there's disagreement over whether to pack up or stick around. They agree they're not leaving until Siobhan is dead. The next day, Siobhan is at work when she notices a biker standing outside the station window. She goes after him, but he's already gone. She tries to follow and finds her tires have been slashed. The festival continues and the mood is good. Food, a rally, live music, the works. That doesn't last. The gang suddenly shows up, dragging people through the streets. Lucas tries to stop them, but gets surrounded by other bikers. In the middle of it all, Rebecca pulls a knife and goes after one of the bikers, shocking everyone around her, especially the Amish women. The gang gets away before Lucas can stop them. At the town hall meeting that follows, residents are furious, and the police are getting an earful. Mayor Dan tries to calm things down without much success. Kai steps up and offers to use his own private security to protect the rest of the festivals. pointing out that he hasn't been convicted of anything and isn't the danger the mayor keeps framing him as. Lucas shuts the offer down, insisting he has it handled. After the meeting, the Amish elders push Rebecca to confess to the sheriff about what she did. Lucas defends her, arguing she acted in self-defense and that calling it a crime isn't fair. That night, she comes to his place and they spend the night together. On the other side of town, bikers open fire on Siobhan's home, shattering windows. She goes outside to confront them and they scatter, but some stay behind and torch the house, burning it completely to the ground. Lucas arrives to be there for her. Lucas meets Kai, who has already gotten hold of one of the gang members and gotten that person to reveal where the others are hiding. Kai knows there's an expectation of something in return, and Lucas quietly accepts that. Armed with batons, he goes to the hideout alone and systematically dismantles the bikers one by one, leaving their leader for last. Job arranges for their unconscious bodies to be delivered to Cleveland, where warrants are already waiting. The next day, Siobhan gets an envelope from her boss containing the Kindred's rings. Not long after, FBI agent Dean Xavier shows up to meet with Lucas. Kai's name has come up repeatedly in federal investigations, and now they're looking at the Hansen murder as a potential pathway to taking him down. Since the key witness, Arno, vanished on Brock's watch, Dean has been assigned to oversee things. That oversight becomes complicated quickly when Dean discovers that both Hansen's hand and the video the central pieces of evidence are gone from the evidence locker. It comes out that Lucas traded them to Kai in exchange for the gang's location. Dean sees enough in all of this to request permission from his superiors to stay in Banshee and keep digging. A new problem surfaces the next day. A man named Wicks, someone who did time alongside the real Mike, spots him in his sheriff's uniform and recognizes him. Lucas is home with Kate Moody when Brock calls to say he's picked up a shoplifter named Wicks, who claims to know the sheriff personally. Panicking, Lucas rushes back to the station but pretends not to recognize the man. The backstory comes out in pieces. Rabbit had confronted Lucas in prison, making clear he blamed him for turning Carrie away from him. Rabbit promised not to let him die, only to make his time as painful as possible. He put a man known as the Albino on Lucas to do exactly that. The only safe place Lucas could find was the prison infirmary, where Wicks worked. Wicks looked after him and told him the one thing that gave him an edge against the albino. In the present, Lucas takes Wicks out to eat and hands him $2,500 in exchange for his word that he'll never show his face in Banshee again. Wicks agrees, then immediately blows the entire amount at the casino, picks a fight, and lands right back in a cell. Lucas bails him out, pays for his dinner again, and goes over the terms of their deal. But Wicks has spent 2 years sleeping rough on the streets and sees this as a chance at something stable. He's not going anywhere, and he's willing to expose Lucas's real identity if Lucas tries to push him out. Lucas and Sugar come up with a different solution. They deal with Wicks and sink him at the bottom of a lake. Meanwhile, Carrie calls Rabbit and tells him she's ready to deliver Lucas. Mayor Dan, for his part, is still grinding his teeth over his inability to touch Kai for anything. Lucas and Sugar start talking about robbing the local casino, which belongs to Benjamin Longshadow, the Kinho tribe leader. Then Lucas gets a call from Carrie, who says she's lined up a buyer for the diamonds. Job tries to talk Lucas out of trusting her. Sure, it's the Carrie he knew isn't who she is anymore, Job tells him flat out. Lucas won't hear it. She meets him in a parking lot and injects him with a sedative. She's made her choice. She's handing him to Rabbit. She moves him to a motel room, cuffs him to the bedpost, puts the diamonds on the table, gags him, and leaves him there. Elsewhere, Deputy Emmett is at a drugstore buying pregnancy tests when 2 robbers are in the middle of holding up the cashier. They notice Emmett and their nerves spike. The cashier reaches under the counter for something and one of the robbers shoots him dead. Emmett tries to de-escalate, but one of them puts a gun to his head. While Emmett prays, the 2 decide to run. He radios in the incident and then gives chase. The criminals, Lance and Nathan, try to get away, but Emmett keeps pushing. Running out of options and energy, Lance grabs a school teacher named Janie Kendall as a hostage and shoots Emmett in the arm. What Lance doesn't know is that Janie is Mayor Dan's wife. Lance and Nathan then take a group of students hostage at a school where they'd been serving Saturday detention, and Deva is among them. Police surround the building and the media picks it up fast. Back at the motel, Lucas is fighting to get free. He sees the news playing footage of Deva inside the school. One of the students managed to record video of the robbers. The urgency of the situation drives him to push harder. Rabbit arrives at the motel with Al, only to find an empty room and blood-covered handcuffs. Job had gotten there first and pulled Lucas out in time. A car is arranged for Lance and Nathan as a condition of releasing 4 students. When one of Deva's friends refuses to leave without her, a fight breaks out. He kicks Lance and lands a punch square to his face. He and Deva bolt into the school building with Lance behind them. When Lucas arrives at the entrance, Carrie is thrown to see him standing there. After Brock gives him the rundown, Lucas decides to go in alone. Agent Dean moves to stop him, and Lucas tells him to stay back. Hands up, Lucas steps inside and starts talking to Nathan, working to build a connection. Once he's close enough, he grabs the pistol and puts a fatal shot in Nathan's chest. The students and Janie run, but Deva and her friend are still inside, with Lance right on their heels. Lance catches up to Deva, takes in Nathan's body, and the shock is written all over him. Lucas comes in with his weapon drawn, and Lance responds by putting Deva between him and the gun, threatening her life. Lucas gives Deva a signal. She drops, and Lucas puts Lance down with shots to the head and chest. Every hostage is safe, but the situation immediately gets worse. News coverage broadcasts both Lucas's and cut to Carrie's faces. Rabbit now has a confirmed location. Upstairs, Lucas finds Carrie waiting for him. His hand goes to his gun by instinct, but there's no confrontation. She steps forward and holds him. She gives herself to him completely, and after 15 years apart, the two of them reconnect in a way neither of them anticipated. The next morning, Carrie gets ready to go. Lucas asks her to stay. She tells him the woman he fell in love with doesn't exist anymore. He asks if Dava is his daughter. Carrie admits she is, and says she married Gordon to give their daughter a real home. Before she leaves, she begs Lucas to get out of Banshee. If he really loves her, he'll do it. As she walks toward her car, Al steps out and puts a gun on her, telling her to get in the trunk. She goes along with it until Lucas appears and stops Al cold. He ties Al to a pole in his room and tells Carrie he'll handle Rabbit before anyone gets hurt. Carrie is terrified. Rabbit already knows where they are, and that means everyone around them is in danger. Spotting Rebecca outside the building, Lucas intercepts her before she gets anywhere near the chaos upstairs. He plays it casual, offers her a ride, and uses the drive to steer her attention somewhere else. Rebecca opens up during the ride, telling him how her family cast her out and erased her for having things her father had forbidden. Magazines, makeup, small things that meant everything. She leans in and kisses him. Clay, Kai's enforcer, is watching. Meanwhile, Al frees himself from the cuffs. He and Carrie go at it violently. She goes for him with a sharp piece of wood, but he grabs her hand and turns the weapon back on her, driving it into her abdomen. As he tries to drag her to the car, she pulls it out and drives it into him. They both end up on the ground, bleeding and barely moving. Lucas comes back to find Carrie lying in a pool of blood and gets her to the hospital immediately. Gordon arrives and goes straight at Lucas. Ever since he showed up, Carrie's behavior has been completely off, and Gordon is holding him responsible. Lucas tells him straight. She was attacked in front of his apartment, and he got her to the hospital. The surgery goes well, and the doctor confirms she's stable. Kai confronts Rebecca, calling her out for the relationship with Lucas. He demands she leave, but Rebecca pleads with him, reminding him he's the only family she has. Looking at photographs of Carrie's life in Banshee, her home, her children, her husband, Rabbit decides it's time to stop waiting. He gets his people together and moves on the town. On another front, Kai and Rebecca approach Alex Longshadow, the new Kinho chief, to talk about the casino deal his father had arranged with Kai. Alex makes it clear he doesn't feel bound by his father's agreement. He wants to move forward on his own terms. Kai lets Alex talk, then blows a whistle. Every worker on the construction site immediately walks off. Al is dead. Sugar and Job have quietly disposed of him. Lucas, knowing how exposed things are with Rabbit closing in, tells them both to keep their distance from him for now. When Carrie comes around in the hospital, she starts pulling out her IVs and her nasal cannula, trying to get herself out of bed. Gordon tells her she needs to rest. She tells him their kids are in danger. They get home, and she takes the wheel, driving straight to Max's school. She rushes inside to his classroom. Empty. She looks out the window and sees him in the playground and breathes again, just for a second. Then she sees Rabbit walking toward Max. She runs downstairs, but by the time she gets there, Max and Rabbit are both gone. Law enforcement gets pulled in, and Agent Dean takes command, directing all deputies to report to him until Max is found. Out of options, Lucas goes to Kai. Before he can even explain, Kai demands to know what's going on with Rebecca. Lucas admits the connection honestly. Kai erupts, and the two of them end up throwing hands, both of them coming away hurt. Once Kai works through the anger, he lets Lucas explain the situation with Max. He agrees to help. Rabbit then walks into the police station himself and tells Lucas this is the last time they'll speak. As Rabbit leaves, Lucas scans the room, and hears the metallic sound of guns being readied. He throws himself behind cover. Rabbit's men open fire on the station with everything they have. Lucas is pinned. Then a figure arrives and clears the shooters out. It's Kai. He tells Lucas the debt is noted and that Lucas now owes him. The next morning, federal deputies and Dean arrive to sort through the mess and want answers. Lucas has none to give them. He decides the only move left is to resign. He walks up to Brock and hands over the badge. Job tries to hack his way to Max's location with no luck. The security footage shows Rabbit's men entering Banshee but never leaving, which means they're still in the area. Sugar, Job, and Carrie form a unit and begin working on a rescue plan together. Lucas reaches out to Rabbit directly, offering to give himself up in exchange for Carrie and her family's safety. Rabbit takes the deal. Max is handed back and goes home safe, but Lucas is knocked out cold before he can do anything. While Sugar and Job try to figure out where Lucas is being held, Gordon shows up at the bar to tell Carrie that Max is back. She immediately understands what Lucas gave up to make that happen. Job pinpoints Lucas's phone signal at a metalworks location. The team moves. On the way there, Brock stops them, so he can tell something is badly wrong. Carrie tells him everything. Brock makes his call. Lucas is one of theirs, and he's going in too. At the metalworks, Rabbit is working Lucas over methodically, intent on drawing out the suffering as long as possible. The rescue team reaches the building. The others hit the front while Carrie slips in from another angle to pull attention away from Lucas. A brutal fight breaks out and both sides take real damage. Brock and the crew start getting overwhelmed, but Carrie pushes through and stabilizes things. Right before Rabbit's men show up with a rocket launcher. Even with his injuries, Brock manages to put down the shooter. The launcher fires in an uncontrolled direction, taking out several of Rabbit's own men and flipping the odds. Hearing the explosion, Rabbit decides to cut his losses and slit Lucas's throat right then. Carrie gets inside the hall in time, pulling the guard's focus away long enough. Lucas overpowers the guard, Carrie finishes him, and then turns her gun on Rabbit. He asks her why she's doing this. He's already forgiven her, he says, and he spared her family. Carrie tells him flatly that she has not forgiven him. She shoots him twice. He goes down. With Lucas out and safe, other law enforcement floods the scene. Dean moves through the building looking for answers and finds none. Rabbit is gone. Only a photograph of himself and Carrie is left behind. Devastated by Carrie's choice to stand with Lucas over her own family, Gordon takes the children and leaves Banshee. Mayor Dan is sitting on a ledge at the casino construction site and reaches out to his wife by phone. Kai and Rebecca arrive. Kai says he has no interest in killing Alex, just in teaching a lesson. He hands Rebecca a phone and tells her to dial a number. When she does, a phone wired to explosives somewhere inside the site starts ringing, and the casino goes up. The mayor goes with it. The police then unearth the buried remains of the real Lucas Hood